The following program on PBS 39 is made possible in part by Arts Weekly, celebrating regional expression, performance, and creativity, is brought to you in part by the Edward D. and Ione Auer Foundation, the Ian and Mimi Rowland Foundation, the family of Dr. Christopher and Kirsten LaSalle, and the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This is Arts Weekly. Arts Weekly is produced in cooperation with the College of Visual and Performing Arts at IPFW, offering degrees in fine arts, music, theater, and visual communication and design.
Thank you for tuning in to Arts Weekly. I'm Melinda Haynes of the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. In the second half of the show, we'll talk with Barbara Resch and Dan Tembras of the IPFW Department of Music about their upcoming fall schedule. But first, we'll meet Michelle Nelson, who is here to tell us about her new exhibit, Typographic Discourse, at the IPFW Visual Arts Gallery. Michelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you know, I am a big type nerd, so this is exciting for me to talk about typography and fonts, but I'm guessing not everybody out there is a type nerd, so I'm wondering if we can start by you defining what typography is.
Well, I mean, we're walking around and interacting with it every day, every time we pass a sign, every time we pass a poster, and typography can mean several different things. Typography can just simply be formal grid and structure with information that we're trying to convey as designers. It could be more expressive, or it could be font design, and that's what I've done is an exhibit on font design.
So the typography, the font design part that you've created, this new font, the new font is going to be a part of this
Absolutely.
Exhibit. The typography, you know, it really is important to a lot of things, but people don't really know why it's important. It's almost kind of underappreciated.
It is.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I actually make this point in class. Typography is a little like the 2x4s that we see that are holding up our houses that we don't see, but are giving us all that information that we're interacting with. And so I make that connection to make sure that students understand what it is that typography really means in the design process.
So it's really the structure that's holding everything of the design process together.
Absolutely.
Now, in class, you are an associate professor of graphic and interactive design at Youngstown State.
I am, and I'm also a product of 2 Indiana University campuses. I did my undergrad at Heron School of Art, which is part of IUPUI, in Indianapolis, and then I also did my graduate work at Indiana University Bloomington. So happy, and I'm a Hoosier, so happy to be home.
Well, we're glad to have a Buckeye visiting her home state for this. The typography, though, isn't something that you normally see in a gallery, like we're about to see in your exhibit. Why isn't it? I mean, it's such a basic foundation.
Well, when you think about it, the entire world is typography's gallery. As I said, we're walking past it every day. We're interacting with it. We're reading it. We're absorbing it wherever we go. It's on TV. It's on posters. It's on billboards. It's not something that we think about. We don't think about those letter forms that communicate so much. And typography's really changed in the last couple of decades from something that was simply about reading left to right to something that was more about creating emotion through font and creating mood and tone. So that's a really exciting part of being, you know, a designer in the last 2 decades, was being part of creating so much diversity in something that we're taking for granted.
Well, and I think it's easy for people to take it to granted, especially younger people today who don't really understand where those fonts really came from. They don't understand about the process of setting type on a letterpress, or of how those letters actually come together. They just type on a keyboard and they appear.
Absolutely right. And sometimes they have the opposite reaction. They are in such a media-saturated culture, and they realize that fonts are designed for different components of our society, and so they actually notice nuances maybe sometimes quicker than others.
The exhibit that you have that's opening shortly, Typographic Discourse, tell me about the display. What is going to be involved? I know your font is going to be there, but what else are we going to see?
So there's a font that I've created, Modern Poise, that's the main event really.
Mm-hmm.
I've designed that font specifically to be showcased in the exhibit, and it's part of my sabbatical.
Yeah, we've got a little example of the first couple letters up there right now.
And I love the B.
Yeah, oh, I love them all. I want to see the whole thing.
Then I have 5 other fonts that are on type specimen sheets that I've created, that I've done throughout the last 18 years. And looking back, I've learned so much. It was kind of nice putting this together, because I see some of those first fonts and think, oh gosh, I don't love them anymore, and you know, I'm so happy with the way Modern Poise has come out.
Well, that's, you know, the artist in you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you
Absolutely.
start out at one level and then you move up, but that's the graphic design part too. It's got a reason for being. It isn't just, you know, a letter A on its own.
If you're satisfied, then you should quit.
Yeah.
Because artists and designers should never be satisfied.
I want people to understand that you created this font, and we've got some videos that we can pull up. If we can kind of start with that letter E one, and maybe talk us through this process. What are you doing here as you're creating this letter?
So this is a sketch of me putting together actually an O, and then it transforms into an E. Letter forms have to relate. They have to have strong connections. And this has been sped up. I actually don't draw this quickly. But it's intended to kind of show the hand. I think so often people think that these fonts just naturally occur on a computer, but an authentic font needs to start by hand. I think if it's not done by your hand off the computer, and you're starting with an already existing font, you're building on someone else's creativity.
Right. You're not starting over.
Absolutely.
So is there a letter of the alphabet that you tend to start with when you design a font?
There is actually O.
Oh, okay.
Because there are so many letter forms.
As you can see right there, you started with the O, and now magically
it's transformed.
Yeah.
The O is a basic form that we can find in an A and a B, the lower part of a B and a D, and obviously the E's been transformed, and C. So it's one of those components that I start with early, and then I start thinking about ascenders and descenders, which are those things that
go up or hang down.
Absolutely.
Do you start with the lowercase letters first?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I love them a little bit more. I find that, and everyone feels differently when they start doing this. They'll start with uppercase or lowercase, but I love the lowercase.
Yeah.
I think they have such little personalities.
Well, was there an uppercase B clip too that we
there
had?
was.
I don't know
Absolutely.
if you can pull up that uppercase B just to kind of see the difference, you know, and to see the little, you know, I guess there really are serifs, you know, on the edges of this. You know, tell me a little bit about Modern Poise and what you wanted to do with this font.
Well, I actually wanted to build a lot into Modern Poise that you don't expect. 3 main categories of fonts are serif, sans serif, and script, and I wanted parts of those to show up in this font. I wanted it to be a little bit fresh, but I wanted it to reference some history. I wanted it to be precise and flowing at the same time. So those are a lot of things
You're
to
asking
fit in.
a lot.
I am. Well, you know, I have to challenge myself.
Right.
And I'm absolutely thrilled with the way it's come out. And there are going to be, this is going to be a font family, so I'm going to do a full serif font for this. I'm going to do a full sans serif font for this, and a full script, and possibly a dingbat.
Well, that would be a very complete family then. You know, we're watching this, you know, this creation sped up, of course, that you did, but it goes from this hand-drawn stage and it has to somehow get to this electronic format that we're all used to using. What happens from this stage, you know, where we see you drawing this? How does it end up something we type on our keyboard and it shows up in our design?
Well, after I've hand-drawn every character in the entire family, I'll scan those in and I'll illustrate those again digitally in Adobe Illustrator, which is actually a significant, probably half my time is hand sketching and then half my time is in Illustrator, and each letter form has to be, you know, reevaluated for thins and thicks to make sure that all of those subtle characteristics that make it look like a font that relates from letter to letter are handled. Once I've done that, I take it into a program like Font Lab, or there's another one called Fontographer, and it's the nitpicky details that make a font a well-done font. There's something called kerning, which is the space between each letter form, and so I have to go through A, B, A, C, A, D, every letter,
Every
uppercase, lowercase,
yeah.
every combination, and that makes a font flow when somebody types it out, and that program ultimately is the generator of that final font.
I see. So when you were hand drawing, if something maybe was not quite as precise as you want it to be, then when you get it into that software, you can make sure that the letters are the exact same width between letters and that sort of thing.
Lots of grid structure happening in that Illustrator program, and it has a hand in there. It changes the way some of the curves play out just because I see it so immediately.
Right.
Those subtleties happen on screen that don't as quickly happen by hand.
Well, that's absolutely beautiful font, and
Thank
I'm
you.
hoping that I can get to use that someday in something. Now, tell me again, when and where is the exhibit? It opens pretty soon.
The exhibit is in the Visual Arts building on IPFW's campus, and it is open from October 7th to November 17th.
Great. Well, I am looking forward to seeing that. Michelle, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
While we get ready for our next guests, Barbara Resch and Dan Tembras, please take a minute to view our performance calendar of what's coming up in our area. You also can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll be right back to hear more about the IPFW Department of Music's fall concert schedule. The fall concert season for the IPFW Department of Music starts next week with the Wind Ensembles concert. The list of offerings for this fall is broad and varied, including vocal and instrumental performances of all kinds, from the community orchestra to the opera ensemble. Here to talk about what we can expect to see and hear are Barbara Resch, Chair of the IPFW Department of Music, and Dan Tembras, Director of Instrumental Studies. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Now, this is your first year as chair of the music department, although you are a well-known figure over there in the music department. You know, but as chair now, putting this hat on, tell us about the programs in the music department, you know, that maybe make them special from other music departments.
Well, I will say that although I've been a faculty member for a number of years, the view is different from the chair's office.
I'm sure that's true.
And although I think our concerts are probably the most obvious manifestation of what we do, there's a lot that goes on in the classrooms, and all of our students, of course, are in degree programs.
Right.
So we have 4 solid degree programs, one in music performance, both vocal and instrumental. We've got a thriving program in music education. We have a music therapy degree, and that's perhaps a little unusual because there are not many of those in the state, but music therapists are learning to use music for therapeutic reasons to help people in a variety of ways. And we have an interesting IU degree that is called Music and an Outside Field that allows students to pair the music major with another area. So some do that with business.
Okay.
Some have done that with, for example, theater is a nice combination. And we're also very proud and excited about our program that's in partnership with Sweetwater Sound, that is in audio recording technology.
Oh, okay. And that program's been there for several years.
It's been there for a few years, yes, and it's really taken off. Sweetwater helps us find instructors. So several of our instructors are on the Sweetwater staff as well. And our students can do some internships out there at their facility, and we have a great relationship.
Well, that's a wonderful opportunity for them. Now, the music therapy degree, and they have a recital coming up too, don't they? Is it a club recital?
The students who in the music therapy club have an event tomorrow night where they themselves are going to do some performing, and at this, in between their performances, they're going to demonstrate some music therapy techniques.
Okay, so what are those exactly? I mean, do they perform for their patients or clients?
I think it very much depends upon on the client, and so the first step is always to do a diagnosis of the client's needs, and then to draw up a treatment plan and to figure out just exactly how they're going to use music. So sometimes it might be a listening situation for the client, but then also they would try to involve the client in doing some musical expression himself.
Yeah, that's a very wonderful program. Now, the music department also collaborates with the Fort Wayne Philharmonic in several ways. Can you tell me about that?
For a number of years we've had a program with the Philharmonic where many of their principal players are on our faculty. So we have about a half dozen of the Philharmonic players who are half-time on our faculty. So we have the advantage, obviously, of having just first-class instruction for our students. I think a great benefit of our program is that we know that that an oboist will be able to study with the Philharmonic oboist, not just a woodwind generalist.
Right.
And that a trombonist is going to study with the first-chair trombone from the Philharmonic. So it's great to have them in our teaching studios, and then also to have them perform for us.
Well, and you've got an oboe master class coming up too, don't you? Yeah.
As part of our partnership, we're going to be having a master class featuring the oboist of the New York Philharmonic, who's performing with the Philharmonic here on October 12th. And we'll be doing a master class with our students the day before. So great opportunity for them, and also some area high school students are coming in to perform in that master class.
That's a great opportunity for somebody to really learn from that level of professional. So if somebody is interested in more of all of the programs or specific ones that the music department offers, where can they find that information?
You can go to our website, which is the IPFW website, ipfw.edu/music. And our office phone number is 481-6714.
Okay, great. So everything can be found there. I know that's updated all the time. Now, Dan, you're pretty new to IPFW. You're not brand new, but tell me when you started and what you're doing.
Well, I started last year, so this is starting my second full year here as assistant professor. And my title being the Director of Instrumental Studies, I oversee all the instrumentalists, woodwind, brass, and percussionists through their degree programs, and then I also direct the ensembles, the wind ensembles here, of which we have 2, a symphonic band and a symphonic wind ensemble.
And that one is going to be giving a performance very shortly, or both of those
Yeah,
ensembles.
both. Yeah, we'll have this joint concert next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. in our concert hall.
The music department does so much, and I know that you're very involved with that, some of the community outreach programs. So besides, concerts that are taking place in the Reinhardt Music Center, what kind of outreach do you do?
Well, we just instigated this new, I think it's going to be a concert series that we're going to have. I think we're going to entitle it Random Acts of Music.
Oh.
And we're actually going to pop up all around the city with musicians. So they're going to be performing at different places, just, randomly for our public. So as a way of people to know who we are and what we do and to continually enrich our culture here
Kind
in
of like
Fort
those
Wayne.
little flash mobs that we see,
It's
but
a
maybe
little
not
bit like
quite
that.
so many. Well,
I'm not sure if they're all going to dance, but we'll see. So
see what kind of choreography you can do, like
That's
with a
right.
tuba.
That's
you
right.
know.
Yeah.
So we do have an honor band festival that takes place in February, and that also involves a lot of school-aged students. So that's one way that we get them in to work with our fantastic Philharmonic mentors and our other faculty, as well as we have this thing that we're doing now where we're actually taking faculty out into the schools and taking all of our instrumental faculty and dissecting a music program, working with the students one-on-one and also in sectionals, and then leaving them there at the
Well,
end of the day.
and that's such a great way for them to learn about all the
Absolutely.
different offerings that the music department has. I mean, that's the building there is amazing. I know when you walk through it, you hear every kind of instrument being practiced when you walk down the hall in those practice rooms. Do most of the students come from Fort Wayne and surrounding areas? But I would think that there'd be some from farther away just because of the breadth and depth of the program.
I think we're seeing that more and more,
Yeah.
that students are coming. I think primarily our students are still coming from Indiana, but they are coming from a much greater radius than just our 11-county area. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Dan, tell me about some of the other concerts that are coming up. We've got the wind ensembles next week, but you've got quite a few more.
Yeah, there's a wind ensemble concert, as I said, next Thursday, and then we have well, of course you know about Mr. Liang Wang, who's the principal of from New York Philharmonic, will be here the day after, and then November 7th we have a faculty showcase concert. We're actually going to have at First Wayne Street Church. We'll be performing our instrumental faculty. It'll be a faculty showcase. So
what a wonderful opportunity to see them, because it's usually all the students who we're seeing in all of these things. So our faculty are awfully talented as well. So that's a nice way to see all of them. Do all of them perform in the showcase, or most of them?
Most all of them will. Absolutely, most all of them will.
Oh, that's great.
And then we've got another concert here in November, the 10th of November. I'm sorry, I got that date wrong. The 21st of November is our concert. And that'll be a pretty fantastic concert, too. We'll feature our professor of percussion, Mr. Eric Schweikert, on a concerto for timpani and wind ensemble. And then just really quick, talking about this concert on Thursday, we're featuring an Indiana composer, Michael Shelley, and his piece that won the William D. Ravelli Prize in Composition through the National Band Association, entitled The End of the World, which sounds a little drastic.
Is this a premiere for this? Or
it's not a premiere. It was written a little over a year ago, but it's a significant work. So it involves interesting pyrotechnic special effects. And then we're also going to do a piece that celebrates Verdi's 200th birthday, which is actually the same night as our concert. So
you're going to have a wide range of composers. Is he going to be here for this concert?
Well, Verdi won't be here.
No, not Verdi.
I know. I'm just kidding. But yeah, Michael Shelley actually will be here in residence all next week. He'll be working with our students and giving master classes and talking about composition and his thoughts on the process. And he's quite a leading authority. So we're looking forward to it.
He's from Indiana, you said?
Yeah. He's a professor at Butler University.
That's great. Now, you're mostly focusing on the instrumental, but there are a lot of vocal concerts as well of different types. Can you tell me a little bit about what we can expect to see from the vocal students?
Many of our students are getting ready for the opera ensemble performance. They're doing The Merry Widow on November 8th and 10th. Always amazing what they can do on the small stage that they're working with. It's always very convincing. And of course they do the sets and the costumes and so forth, so that's underway. Our vocal ensembles, our choral ensembles, are performing what they're calling their fall showcase early in November also. That is on November 6th. And we have a couple faculty members doing individual recitals, and then as we get farther into November, virtually every studio does a recital of a small ensemble as well as the students. And then of course scattered throughout each of the students, as part of their degree work, has to perform a senior and in some cases also a junior recital.
Wow.
So we have lots of individual recitals by the students. I think we have, about 10 junior and senior recitals this semester. So a total of over 40, between 40 and 50 recitals and concerts just this semester.
Well, and I know all of those are listed on your website.
They
It's
are.
amazing how busy it is. And you've got students, we've got faculty, and we still have community members who join us. Tell me a little bit about the opportunities for community members who still want to sing or play.
Sure. We have 2 ensembles that are kind of a community university for credit ensembles. The Choral Union meets on Monday night, and that is, as it sounded, it's a choir for community members and also has a number of students in it. And the Community University Orchestra meets on Tuesday nights, directed by David Cook, and that is also a combination of both our string students and the university members. And of course, Fort Wayne Area Community Band rehearses on our campus as well. So it's always kind of fun in the evening to sort of see the second shift come in, and it's another generation of folks who are continuing to make music in our facility.
Well, it is a wonderful use for everybody. Now, Dan, tell me again, when is the Wind Ensembles concert?
So the Wind Ensemble concert is this next Thursday, the 10th at 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
in our concert hall.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It's nice to know everything that's going on in that building, because I know it's awfully busy.
Thank you.
I'm Melinda Haynes with the IPFW College of Visual and Performing Arts. Please tune in next time on Arts Weekly when we'll meet Ann Shive and Dan Diefenbacher from a Renaissance in Roanoke, taking place October 12th. Then Liz Monnier and Allison Ballard from Fort Wayne Dance Collective join us to chat about their production Into the Darkness that opens October 19th. For up-to-the-minute arts updates, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and be sure to join us here live Thursday evenings at 7:30 on PBS 39. Thank you for watching Arts Weekly.
The preceding program on PBS 39 was made possible in part by Arts Weekly, celebrating regional expression, performance, and creativity, is brought to you in part by the Edward D. and Ione Auer Foundation, the Ian and Mimi Rowland Foundation, the family of Dr. Christopher and Kirsten LaSalle, and the support of viewers like you. Thank you.